Glory to Ukraine, glory to brave Ukrainian army. Ukraine is fighting. Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian people are brave. And we are fighting against Russian terrorist state, against Russian Iranian terrorist states, because Russia, Iranian drones, they attack us daily, nightly, etc. And we will definitely win. Today, I will be glad to have you as my guests in my UA garden roses. And there are a lot of varieties already at the peak of blooming of the first flush, initial flush, and but there are still some varieties that are not even opened or even started to open, but they will be, because I see buds and I see new branches on them, and of course they will still give some impressions and some joy. But as you can see from your screen or on your screen, there are bushes that are impressive, wonderful, gorgeous, etc. And of course, there will be many of them today in the video. And as I have mentioned, I would be very grateful if you will walk through my rose garden and will watch, will listen, and will see the beauties which I have planted some time ago. Some of them I have planted late autumn, but some of them have been planted autumn 2020 and spring 2020. Let's start from this orange one, and orange here we can see a mix of orange colors, of orange shades, palette. And this is Lady of Charlotte, one of the famous here in Ukraine, and I guess that abroad as well. And you either have this variety, have this rose, or heard about her, or seen her in some maybe public gardens or gardens of your neighbors or friends. This bush was planted autumn 2020, and it grows at the same place through all these years. And from year to year, I am experimenting with pruning, mainly with spring prune or pruning after the wintering, and from year to year I am trying to find the most suitable, or most maybe the way which will suit most for my expectations, my garden, and general view of this part of the rose garden. Why? Because this variety, one of the beautiful, without any, of course, objections or arguments, discussions. This rose, she could grow very, very long branches, and these branches, there could be 3-5 branches which are visibly longer than general height of the whole bush. And as of me, because I have seen a lot of pictures with this variety from different gardens here in Ukraine and throughout the world, of course. And to be true, I prefer to have this bush not so to have this bush at one height, and not to have some branches much more longer than the general view of this bush. That's why I have experimented this spring, and I have pruned it not maybe not according to rules of pruning the David Austin roses, but maybe to some of the rules which here we practice here in Ukraine. And I have cut, or I have left the height, the general height of the bush at the same level. And I have very lightly, I have made very light sanitary pruning, and I have not cut all the thin branches or the branches which crossed between themselves. I have left most of the branches inside the bush, and yeah, I hope that this will give me very nice result, and I will see this bush, as I have mentioned, the same height through the season. As of now, you can see that this aim or this desire was almost completed, finished, or reached. But not completely, not fully, because we still have one branch which already much more higher than general height of the bush, but still this branch it is still not blooming, and general bush, yeah, mainly blooming. That's why it impresses, and yeah, I'm glad that I have this result. Or although not excellent, but still, to talk about excellence, it's almost impossible yet to have excellence in everything. And even if you expect some excellence, please be ready. I just took or say this to myself. Please be ready to face something not so excellent, and yeah, do not have a negative maybe emotions, or do not be sad about this situation. So yeah, this variety, as I mentioned, is very popular, and of course this is completely awarded variety, and such great emotions which you will have while looking at this variety, while while she will be blooming through the whole summer and even early autumn. Yeah, they are completely fulfilled, and joy will be at the highest level. The color of the flowers, and as you can see, there is a mix. As I have already mentioned about this, there is a mix of orange shades at the same bush, or in the same bush, in the same cluster even. And flowers, they are big, they are fragrant, not maybe as not fragrant as not as fragrant as William Shakespeare, for example, 2000, or Mustard Wood. Two latter, they are more fragrant than this one, Lady of Shell, but at the same time, she is very fragrant. And while I am talking to you here, making a video, I feel this aroma, this fragrance, and it is very nice and very wonderful. Another beauty that also was in the yeah, on the screen, and I will try to do this once more. This is Golden Celebration one, also another famous David Austin roses varieties, and they were planted the same time, the same autumn, maybe the same day, even, or the same week. But as you can see, yeah, that a Golden Celebration is not so generous. Yeah, it lacks, I would say, if it is correctly to be said. In generosity, it's not so well branched, it's not so high, although it also grows, this variety, or it bush, it also grows very long branches, but bloom, and flowers will be mostly at the end of these branches, and that's why a blooming and wave and or flush, it will not be so impressive as a Lady of Shalott has. But I still love this variety, first of all because of its fragrance, and initially and originally I have decided to plant this variety, Golden Celebration, I mean, because of its fragrance, of its impressive fragrance, with some maybe spicy notes, but still fruity and sweet shades. This variety also demonstrates a mix or combination of the yellow color and its different shade or palette, even in the same cluster, and not to say in the same bush, of course. It also blooms throughout season to the late, or at least early autumn, but it depends from autumn to autumn, because we could have a very warm ones, and then bloom will proceed till the November even. One more very nice position of this queen of my roses, one of the queen, of course, because I have very more loved varieties and less loved varieties, but among even more loved varieties, yeah, there are tops, maybe, yeah, top 10 or top 15 we could count differently, but still, a Lady of Shalott among them, of course, and you could see by yourself why. Let's proceed and see some other beauties, but I, of course, could stay here for long and could tell more and more and longer because they are impressive. One more variety. This was also on my screens and already in my walks. This is Shevchenko rose, named after Taras Shevchenko, our famous poet, one of the famous poet. And unfortunately, it is impressive. Color is impressive. Flower size is impressive. It's bigger than Lady of Shalott, but not bigger than Golden Celebration. And it is so deeply fragrant, so the fragrance is so concentrated or very, I would say, fruity, sweet, and impressive. And of course, the bloom is also impressive, but unfortunately, it is after the bush is exposed, or while the bush will be exposed to the sun, the flowers will be influenced by this sun, by this heat, and they will be destroyed very, very quickly, even through the day. You will not believe that this is the same flower which I have seen in the morning, and it was impressive and it was promising, but at the evening it is already not as close as you could imagine. But still, as far as this is Ukrainian bird variety, named after Ukrainian, one of the famous poets here in Ukrainian history. Of course, I love it, and I will proceed to love it, and I still will plant it if someone would ask me whether I could change my mind and not to plant it, but not. I will plant it in any case. Not beauty, but not fragrant, but very bright, very noticeable, very impressive. As you can see, this is Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Mayo, Floribunda, Tom Carut, if I'm not mistaken, and also third or fourth year maybe here in my garden. And as you can see, it is Floribunda year, and as you know, all Floribundas, or almost all Floribundas, they are mostly generous, very rich in clusters and very rich in colors, in forms of the flowers and in shades of the colors. They could demonstrate a different palette of the same color, and that's impressive. And it's never enough time to get all the possible emotions which we could got while looking at this beauty. There will be more beauties, and I had to take water with me for this walk, but I have not done this and it was not a good idea not to take water. Yarube alla franchese. Franchese, Japanese bread variety, and it should be climber, and I still expect it to that it will show me, or she will show me her climber nature, and yeah, then it will be much more impressive than at this moment. But I will show you more impressive varieties. I have several of them, not several, but many of them. Acropolis rose. I love this rose because of its color, of its combination of color. As of now, we see mainly one, but that one, coral pink or salmon pink, it has started to change to a lighter pink, lighter peach, maybe even. And in some time it will be even light green, lighter green or green, pinky greenish, peachy greenish, and I will try to demonstrate this to you because life of the bloom, life of the flush, it is pretty long, and these flowers, such type of flower of this variety, Acropolis, they are not they do not have any signs of the sun activity. Even if we will have 30 degrees during the whole week, this will not influence at all the quality of flowers. This could influence the bush, the whole bush, if we will not water it enough and in advance, and if it will not be mulched. But if we will provide respective care prior to this long hot period, sunny period, then these flowers and bush itself, they will be for long and will bring a big of joy while looking at these flowers, at these clusters, at this variety, and of course receiving a lot of positive emotions. Let's move next. Color Jupiter, one of the unusual varieties in my garden because of color. And color is unusual, of course, and it's not maybe not so oftenly faced in our gardens. Not sure about yours, about abroad gardens, but here in Ukrainian gardens, such colors, such maybe shades, very light lavender, but cold lavender, with silvery shades, such colors in roses, they become more and more popular. And there are already plenty of varieties in such palette, not of course identical color, but such type of colors and palette. This pretend to be this bush pretends to be a climber, but as of now it's not even up to my knee. So I am waiting and hope that this variety will demonstrate me, this rose will demonstrate me, still her climber nature. This one name is lost, so I don't know its name, her name. And this one, this is Noir Desir, also Barney roses, Italy, and it is Floribunda. She's Floribunda, and she's very generous, very deeply, intensely red colored, even red with some maybe dark and more darker, right? Shades and parts, and especially during the cloudy conditions, pre-sun, pre-rain conditions, or after the rain, prior to sun conditions. And it is beautiful, first of all, because of its the form of the flower. It's also very noticeable, very prominent, and of course because of its richness of clusters. You can see how rich they could be, and maybe even I will see this. And how interesting they are formed, how interesting they are located, and they are not opened at the same time. The whole cluster is not open at the same time, but still some starts and some are added later, and a life of flower is pretty long lasting, and it could be each flower maybe a view or could be influenced by sunny weather, not so drastically as Astrid, for example, but still there is influence of the sun, of the heat, not the sun itself, but of the heat from the sun, and some influence from the rainy, long-lasting humidity, maybe not only rain, but long-lasting humidity without any sun between such periods. They could, such conditions, such humid conditions, they could spoil part of the petals, and some flowers from the cluster, they could lose their attractiveness. But one of my favorite varieties, if this bush is if it has a very good wintering, then it will be so rich, so branchy, and as a result so gorgeous that you could even not to stop looking at it, to stop coming to it more and more, taking photos, taking videos, saying glory words and saying good compliments to this variety, and wanting more and more varieties to be similar to this. But I have a couple of varieties from the same breeder, Barney roses. but they are, yeah, they are impressive. But this one, I would say this is the most impressive for me, of course. Interestingly, or interesting, what varieties from this breeder you have, and you have the same impressions as you receive from this Noir Désir rose, and would be grateful for your feedback and words. One Glory, this is Julia Child, and if I'm not mistaken, this is USA Tom Carruth, if I'm not mistaken. But this is definitely a Floribunda, and this is definitely one of the most prominent Floribundas in my garden. Not to say in the world, might be in the world as well, but in my garden at least. And of course, this is a lot of joy. And let's talk about joy. Um, Garden of Roses, we often speak about joy, how flowers could bring positive emotions, how this is joyful to plant roses, to grow them, to make or to make some care or to take care about them, etc., etc. And you could not even, I think you could not even imagine, or maybe I will ask you, have you ever felt the joy of seeing new day, of seeing rose garden the morning after the half of night spending in anxious in fear, and at some moments in the dreadful fear, counting times of shahed sounds of rate fight against these Iranian-Russian death machines, counting times of missiles flying, and new air raid attacks, air raid fight of our glorious soldiers, our glorious UA air fighters, system soldiers, etc. And after these 4 hours, 5 hours of such anxiety, of such dread, of such fear, of such fair emotions, you then see finally that everything stopped, you are alive, and first your action is to go outside, to go into your rose garden, to smell each variety, not each flower, of course. I will not say that I smell each flower from each variety, not, but smell each variety. And try to smell, of course, first to smell varieties which are mostly or deeply fragrant. And this is the joy of our life. This is the joy of usual Ukrainian people. And there are a lot of books about mindfulness, about living the moment, be positive thinking, and how it is called, be mm, well-minded, etc., etc. But all these authors, I am not sure whether they could even imagine how it is positive thinking and how it is endorphins at the top level, just while you come outside after this dreadful night and just see your roses are here. You can smell it, you go smell it, you make buckets to you. You are joyful then, you're grateful to your army, to your air forces, and of course to those, to the part of the world, to those people who believe in us, who help us, and who fight with on our side, of course, shoulder by shoulder with our soldiers against our enemy. Our initial enemy through all the times, we've had not only the Russia as an enemy, but as of now, they are, yeah, the main enemy. But let's come back to this variety, and I think if you have been hearing what I am talking while camera is on this bush, you already is impressed. You are already impressed with this beauty, with the beauty of this variety, Julia Child. beauty of this color, very positive color, a very optimistic color, a yellow one. And you could compare, you could see different shades of this yellow, even in the same cluster. Here we can see, I'm not sure whether the camera transferred this, but I originally could see that there are 4 shades of yellow color, and this is impressive. This is one of the most impressive variety, which could provide some inspiration to maybe artists, to people who make some handmade maybe clothes or handmade toys, and they work with colors, and they try to combine colors, they try to combine different row of the same color. And this one is one of the I would say impressive example of how yellow color could be, and how it could evolve, and how it could transform. And bush itself, wintering was not very successful for this rose, but still after even very strong and very severe, I would say, pruning, this bush it still grows a lot of branches. Branches are rich in clusters, and clusters are rich in flowers and in colors. And yeah, one of my favorite, forgot to mention, but you could guess from my words and time I have spent near this rose. Midnight blue, also floribunda, very very fragrant, and Julia Child. Yeah, I forgot to mention that it is also fragrant, not so deeply fragrant, but very noticeably fragrant. Midnight blue, very deeply fragrant with some spicy maybe aromas, some spicy notes, and if I'm not mistaken, this is maybe not even floribunda, but maybe shrub. I had to check previously, but yeah, I forgot to do that. And if I'm not mistaken, this is also from Tom Karut, but I could be mistaken. And this is one more beauty, and it is called Blue for You, one of the one of the richest and one of the prominently and generously blooming varieties in my garden. You could see how many flowers are, how rich clusters are, and also there are different shades of the same color. And the fragrance also impressive, very intense, very sweet, and very nice, of course, to be smelled. And bees, they love this variety. I could confirm by seeing this from the morning till the dusk. The bees will be here. A lot of quantity of them will be here. On the right from this bush, there is Rhapsody in blue, and it became lighter already, because this is the whole week, even maybe more maybe longer, of the blooming, and it changes its color. And yeah, as of now, it is also maybe very hard to distinguish between these two varieties, if not to know which of them are exactly. And we will finish, not we will finish, but we will proceed, and we will finish with one more. We will proceed with Ice for You. This is also floribunda, and you can see that this is also very interesting in color, double colored. Main is white, but it is distinctly seen this central part of different shades of violet one, deep intense violet, and how it is perfectly combined with Blue for You, with Rhapsody in blue, with Midnight blue, and yeah. This is one of my initial place where I planted these roses, and I have intentionally planted these varieties one to another, one near to another, and impression and what I have received as a result of planting. This was completely the feeling I've had prior to planting them. And yeah, maybe we will finish with this one. This is Popcorn or Popcorn Drift. This is border variety, and this is her first year here of growing in my garden and blooming, first flush here in my garden. And as you can see already, although this is on the first flush, but this flush is so generous, is so prominent, is so visible that you could not believe that this is on the first year here in my garden. And I think there will be more. they will be much more generous, much more brunchy, and much more impressive. And this time, I want to thank you for watching, for listening, for leaving your comments, and of course, till the next video. And bye.